You are just in time for the Real Estate Profits with Purpose. Keep it here and learn how to buy and sell real estate the right way. Here are your hosts, Ian Boshoff and Jessica Couch.
And welcome to our show. Good afternoon, good evening. We're here with Jessica Couch and Joseph Madrid. How y'all doing today?
Fantastic. How are you?
Excellent.
Amazing. That's amazing. I love having everyone on the show. For those of you that are just tuning in, today's show, we're discussing on how to leverage and compound your equity with real estate and into retirement. We're a mortgage and real estate brokerage, providing a streamlined white glove service approach with each client, ranging from first-time home buyers, homeowners, and new real estate investors emerging into the housing market. And when you work with us, we donate 10% of our profits to the Sweet Dreams Foundation, which Jessica sits on the board. So thank you for those that listen to the show, and be sure to give us a call, or if you have any questions, send us a text to 916-872-7177, or you can log on to www.promortgagerealty.com if you'd like to find out more information. So, also, I just wanted to express again what our show is about today, discussing how to leverage and compound your equity with real estate into retirement. This is this is what we do. I don't get pension, and I'm not banking on Social Security existing.
True.
And so this is my play, the real estate. And I think, Jessica, you own a bunch of property. And
I do. I've got 6. I have 7 doors, actually. My goal is to get an ADU on every last one of them, divide any property I can, and double.
Nice. And I haven't held on to mine. I sold all mine. And so, but it's always worked out in a benefit, regardless. But I think I wanted to ask a little bit about Joe, because Joe's been kind of like a silent little, he's got a Sleepy Joe voice, and we don't know much about Joe, but Joe is a very good mortgage lender. He's been in the business for a very long time. Joe, can you tell us your background and how you got into the business, a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'm originally from the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people.
Like most people here, It seems like, right? And then moved here when I was pretty young, in first grade, actually. And
where's here? Where'd you move to?
Sacramento.
Okay.
We actually moved to Citrus Heights, to be precise.
Okay.
When I was a little kid, and grew up in Citrus Heights. Played sports my whole life. That was kind of my thing.
Go figure.
Right?
Dude's
right.
huge. Yoked beyond measure.
But I did grow up as a Jehovah's Witness, so that kind of hindered me going further in sports. That's another.
Why is that?
But how did that benefit you? Tell us how it hindered you, and then I want to know how it benefited.
Yeah.
Well, in that religion, at least where we grew up, it was frowned upon, if you will, to partake in extracurricular sports.
Huh? I did not know that.
Takes away from
I thought
the
it was
industry.
just Halloween and stuff like that.
That too.
And like, okay.
That too.
Birthdays.
That too. Right. Yeah. Anyway, so that's how I grew up, and I learned about loans actually when I was 17. I never told you this story.
Oh, wait. Tell us first how this benefited you, though, growing up this way.
Right.
I mean, I know the answer, but tell our listeners, what was the benefit?
Yeah.
The silver lining here.
That's a good point. So, truth be told, the benefit was it taught me amazing morals.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, when I look back at it, it taught me amazing morals, how to be a presenter, how to talk to people, and actually how to go door to door. We used to go door to door. This is something that Jessica and I talk about.
Door to door sales.
Because that's something that most people in our industry struggle with.
Yeah.
And we enjoy it. We did it as little kids, so there's zero fear there.
Right.
Joseph's good at the door. He's good. Joseph's good at the door, and Joseph is really, really good at building relationships. It's not a transactional thing. It's building relationships.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big piece of just who you are and also how you were raised. Is like, it's relationships. It's not a one-time deal. It's like, these are my friends for life.
Yeah.
So you better make sure you're treating your friends for life really, really well.
Yeah.
And you really excel at that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And to your point, actually, I was on the phone with my dad this morning, had a great conversation with him. We tell each other we love each other still to this day. And in the car on the way here, I was on the phone with a buddy of mine. We've been friends for 37 years.
Dang.
That's a testament, I think, a testament to who you are as a human.
Yeah, and my age, too.
You're super old.
But we've been friends for a long time. Anyway, so back to what you were asking. That's how I grew up. Grew up in Citrus Heights, and I learned about loans actually when I was 17. A mortgage guy came to my dad's house, and he had a 3-piece suit on and an attaché case.
No way.
Yeah,
Did he have a typewriter?
You were like,
About
goals.
it?
Well, in those days, right? I mean, a full-on attaché case with the little combination on it and everything. And he looked impressive. He drove a Jaguar, a two-door Jaguar. And I was really curious at what he did for a living. And he said, I'm a loan officer. And when you're 17, what's that? That's like another language.
They're like a police officer.
Right? What's a loan officer? And I had no idea. So he explained it to me. He was helping my parents out. He worked for a company called Beneficial. I don't know if you remember Beneficial.
Yeah.
They were subprime in those days. And he helped my parents save their house.
Oh, wow.
And so it intrigued me, you know. So years later, after sports and all that stuff, then I got into real estate. And true story, my grandfather, he was African-American. He came here from Texas, and that was a tough journey for him. But my point in saying that, he got into real estate. That was how he made his money. And he told me as a little kid that you need to get into real estate. And
You're like, but what about my briefcase?
Right.
Where's that going to pop in?
Exactly. That's for service. And he used to take me to new home communities and new home builds.
Nice.
And we would tour them when I was a little kid.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
and I have all these hats, like Tim Lewis hats and Elliott Home hats
No
and stuff
way.
that I still have
No way.
from when I was a little kid. So it's kind of always been in me, I guess, you know. And then when I got old enough to understand what it was, then I got into it. And
Yeah.
the rest is history. So I've been in this since 2003. I got my license in 2004.
Okay.
So I've been at it for a little bit.
But you also did some real estate, which I think is really, well, Ian too, I think is really, really helpful as a loan officer when you know what we are doing.
Right.
Like intimately, you know how hard this is.
Yeah.
Wow,
And
I wish my emergence into the business was that you know, catered to the story. Like, you had such a good story about how you got into the business and all the positive benefits. Mine was accident. You know?
It was.
My buddy, I was bartending at night, and he goes, "Hey, you want a day job?" And I'm all, "Sure, I'll take a day job. I'm working from 9 to 2 a.m. at night. I got all day."
Right.
So I just started banging the phone for like 8 hours and hated it. And then I saw all these guys making the money and just, I'm like, what's going on here? You know, I didn't even know what loan officer was.
Right.
But you know, it's initially the draw is the money, but yours is more profound. It's the draw of, you know, that guy saving your house.
Yeah.
And that hits to your heart,
Yeah.
which is good.
Yeah.
I like that.
It was pretty weird. That and the grandpa thing. And I didn't realize that all of these things were in play till I got older.
Yeah.
And
That's why you're here today.
Yeah. And I started looking back. So
Where were rates at in 2003 or 4? And what was the house prices in Citrus Heights in 2003 and 4?
I love that question. So rates at that time, I had clients that were happy to get a 9% first and a 12% second.
Yowza.
At that time.
Yowza.
Right?
Yeah, 2003.
And
I
that was
had
adjustable, right?
I know I had a negative AM.
Yeah.
In 2003.
Yeah.
And the loan officer said, "This is a great deal." I said, "You are an idiot. This is a terrible deal. It's all I can get right now. I know I have to refi out of this."
Yeah.
But, you know, I knew enough from being licensed for many years that I knew what I was doing, and I made a conscientious decision to go into that. But I think having this experience and really knowing what subprime means, what negative AM means, you know, what your options are and how to get out of it.
$9.25. Holy! What was the price? Price of the house?
Oh, that's the best part. You know, homes at that time were 200 or under
Okay.
out here.
Okay.
You know, there was even a time after the crash, 2008, where you could buy homes in Citrus Heights for 40 to 50 grand.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now those homes are $400,000.
If you're lucky,
Right.
Yeah.
Right now, you know, if you have a house on the market in Citrus Heights, you're looking at like
Right.
$475. It's got like 20 offers.
Yeah.
And it's 2024.
Yeah.
So,
True.
But thank you for that. That's good. That gives everyone kind of perception of what we're going to be talking about. Sure. And Jessica, I know you grew up a Jehovah's Witness too. So this girl door knocks. She's heavily into real estate. Joe's the lone guy. Jessica's a real estate queen. So if you have Jessica as let's say you hire her for a listing, she will knock on every door in your neighborhood.
Oh, we're bringing them. We're bringing them.
Joe will probably go with her.
He does.
And so the biggest thing here is, do your agents do that? I very much doubt it.
Yeah.
She'll hand deliver the flyer. She'll talk about, hey, what are you guys doing? Do you know any people that are looking to buy this house down the street? And why don't you come over to our open house? Tell us what you think. And that's the type of agent. Usually these agents get lazy. They'll I don't want to get off subject, but they'll just put it on MLS.
it's good.
And that's
yeah.
it.
And then you say a
make
prayer.
some flyers, bring some cookies from Safeway, and call it a day.
Yeah.
And so that's difference when you work with Pro, when you work with Jessica, and you work with Joe.
You can count on coffee when you come to see me. I don't just have Safeway cookies. I bring a Keurig. If you know me, you know I pound coffee all day long.
Yeah. I usually come up with a keg of coffee when I come in here. Well,
that's what you're going to expect, yes.
Oh, good. Well, before we're probably going to come up on a break shortly, but I want to hop into some quick news here with rates and what's going on. Thank you for your story, Joe. And as always, we're so happy to have you. The Fed's measure of inflation, personal consumption expenditures, the PCE, right? This is personal consumption, showed that headline in all inflations rose 0.3% for the month, which was in line with the expectations. The previous report was revised lower to 0.1%. Which helped inflation on an annual basis year over year decline from 2.6 to 2.4, which was also expected. The core rate, which Fed focuses on and strips out food and energy prices, rose 0.4% last month, which was also in line with the expectation. The previous core reading was also read lower in 0.1%. I know this is all crazy information that you have no idea what I'm talking about on, but what this means is that Powell, the Fed, everything that they spoke about in the last meeting is kind of here. And so it's all in line with what was happening. Personal income rose 1% last month, which was stronger than expectation. That shows some strength in the economy. We've got a little bit more on CoreLogic news on the performance of December's 30-day delinquents and apartment list rentals, and more on our show. You don't want to miss this, leveraging and compounding your equity in real estate for retirement. We'll be back after this.
Sweet Dreams Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit whose mission is to glorify God by spreading peace, hope, and love to families with medically fragile babies and children. They offer dream bedrooms to children battling life-threatening illnesses, and their Ruse Baby program creates an atmosphere that will lift the spirit of the child, where they can laugh, play, and let their inner light shine. To learn more about the Sweet Dreams Foundation, visit sweet-dreams.org. When you work with Pro Mortgage and Realty, you're supporting the Sweet Dreams Foundation. Partner with Pro Mortgage and Realty today to buy or sell a home and help support the Sweet Dreams Foundation to help more children in our communities. Call or text Jessica Couch of Pro Mortgage and Realty today at 916-532-8916. That's 916-532-8916, or visit ProMortgageRealty.com. Work with the pros. Pro Mortgage and Realty. NMLS number 351319 and DRE number 017-45667.
If you or a family member are in the process of buying a home, then you'll want to hear this. Pro Mortgage and Realty has streamlined the home buying process, providing you with mortgage pre-approval and a top-performing real estate agent all under one roof. And if you call or text within the next 10 minutes to 916-872-7177, that's 916-872-7177, they will cover your closing costs. Pro Mortgage and Realty makes it easy. They will negotiate the best deals and save you thousands by using one company. From down payment assistance programs, DSCR loans, FHA and VA loans, and more. They cover all aspects of mortgage and real estate, from finding you the right finance programs to finding you the right home. Work with a company that can be with you throughout the whole home buying process. Call 916-872-7177 or visit ProMortgageRealty.com for more information. Work with the pros. Pro Mortgage and Realty. NMLS number 315319 and DRE number 017-45667.
And now more with the Real Estate Profits with Purpose on AM 1380, The Answer.
If you're just tuning in, we're here with Joe with Pro, and we're here with...
Oh, that's a good one, too.
Joe with Pro, you like that?
Joe has so many nicknames. I'm jealous. You can't even rhyme that many things with Jess.
And we got Joe with Pro and the loan officer, and Jessica Couch, the real estate extraordinaire. We're talking about leveraging and compounding your equity with real estate to retirement. But first, we're going to go on through some news, and CoreLogic Performance Insights reported that loan performance in December on those 30 days or more delinquent rose 2.9% to 3.1%. This metric is now risen 0.5% over the last 4 months and is something to keep an eye on. It likely signals the consumer is feeling pressured of all your payments, and the mortgage is likely the most important to you, as ton of equity to protect. And we know consumers have stacked up credit card debt, right? $3 trillion or $4 trillion in a few years, and they're using programs like buy now, pay later on their credit cards. These could be signs that the economy is about to slow. And so this is important to keep an eye on. And even though the Fed says our inflation numbers are up to par, they're not going to quite lower rates. This, there's some delinquencies on mortgages, and this has to do with credit card debt, right? So apartment, and what this all means is that we need to have rates drop. I'm going to stand on a box and scream it, but we need to have rates drop. Apartment List rental report. Apartment List released its February report showing that new rents rose 0.2%. Did you hear that? Rents increased during the month and are down 1% year over year. This breaks a 6-month streak of monthly declines, but new rent remained down 1% last year and should eventually translate to lower shelter costs and inflation reports. So jobless claims, guess what? The information that they popped out was always wrong. It was wrong again. It rose 13,000 to 215,000 because the data for last week is likely understated because of the President's Day holiday weekend. During holiday weeks, we most always see lower levels of claims because they do not do a good job adjusting these figures. So the reason why, if there's a high unemployment number, that means your economy is not doing good. How do we fuel the economy? Is lower interest rates. We're coming to a lower interest rate market, which should be June. Even that's what my daddy says. So I'll go with what my daddy says and all the information we read. But the compounding equity.
I'm so excited about this.
I want to get into this. Okay, so compounding equity. Everyone hears compounding interest on your stocks and investments. It's great to have. Compounding interest is key. Well, compounding equity works the same way in real estate. And I want to get into what compounding equity is. For example, in 2019, starting at 2019 to today, home prices in the U.S. have gone up 49%.
I could tell you the house I bought in 2019 has absolutely gone up 40%. I mean, I've made a lot of improvements, but I could tell you for a fact.
On average, 50%. Your value has gone up 50%. From 2019. Okay. That's called compounding equity. Okay. Now, if I put an example of $575,000 down, right? Or no, $575,000 purchase price at 3.5% down. Okay. You take out an FHA loan on this with an equity gain of 9% annually, which we're probably going to see more of for the first 5 or 6 years. And then you may see lower depending on where rates go. But on average, I feel like it's going to hit 9. In 3 years, okay, if you stay into this property for 3 years, that's $218,000 worth of equity.
That's a good amount of money for just paying a mortgage rather than rent.
Okay, that's 3 years. I'm not talking 5. 5, you're at $358,000.
Dang.
And 7, you're at $568,000 worth of equity. And 10 years, you've got $916,000 worth of equity.
That's retirement money.
Between 7 and here's the real kicker. So from 0 to 3, you get $218,000 of equity. Compounding equity from 7 to 10, right? There is a difference of $471,000.
Wow.
Of what you're gaining.
Wow.
Okay? So think about this. The return of your investment, I got to get my glasses because I'm getting old and look at the screen all day. From year 3, your return of investment is 818%. Year 5, your return of investment is 1,514%.
Dang.
Year 7, your return of investment is 22,340. Year 10, your return of your investment is 3,881%.
Now, if somebody's just tuning in and just heard the end of this and is like, I want to know how I can get that amount of equity, how are they going to reach you to get this information? I'm being serious. Because you go through this, and you and I are so quick, and Joseph too, this is what we live and breathe.
Yeah.
But for the average person that just tuned in that was like, wait, I'm going to get $300,000. Wait, start over? What's happening?
Well, they can log on to promortgagerealty.com, or they can reach out to 916-872-7177. We can connect you with Joe or myself. We can talk all about the strategy of what you're going to get, and we can formulate any type of strategy. We're going to have these tools and calculators on our site. We're getting it rebuilt out for on the mortgage side, but until then, we have to calculate it for you. But I'm just doing an example of 6.125%. I have not mentioned the difference of what your payment's going to be. So if you take out a loan, right, 3.5% down on 575, 554,000. I hope I'm saying numbers fast enough for everybody. But your monthly payment without taxes and insurance is going to be $33.71.
And that's at 6.25.
That's at 6.125.
Okay.
When refinancing comes in. Okay. And that's going to be probably a year and a half.
Yeah, I'm saying
or
12
sooner,
to 16 months.
Or sooner, depending if you can get a no-cost loan. It may be advantageous for you to do so. But if you're at 4.5%, the payment goes $28.11. That's a difference of $560 a month.
That's big. And, well, that's big, but this is also, well, you're talking about FHA as well. So if we can get that lower interest rate and you have the equity, which we just said you will, right, in this scenario, you're also taking off that PMI. So not to forget about that, because PMI is where right now? What's the percentage on your loan?
0.50 on FHA. And depending on convention, they actually reduced it significantly. It used to be 0.85.
Right. So even at 0.50, though, at over a $500,000 house, you're looking at $250 a month. That's still another payment that you're making, although it's a write-off, right? Because you can write off your taxes and your premium mortgage insurance. It's still money going out the door. And you just pointed out how you could get in at 3.5%, gain $300,000 in equity, which is everything, in my opinion, over just a few years, and be able to refinance where your payment gets lower and lower. So you're gaining money in equity and your payment is getting lower. Like, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
Well, I mean, these numbers are crazy. You know, if you think about it, if you could buy something at $750,000, you're thinking, I mean, you're looking at what's the number? I had 1.1 million, almost $1.2 million worth of equity. If you buy something at $750,000 today, in 10 years, you're going to have $1.2 million worth of equity.
It's amazing. And this is on average. There's neighborhoods that are going to do even more than that.
Yep. This is on average, of course. Your payment difference, if you do refinance on that $750 loan, when you refinance, the difference is $730 a month.
Wow.
Lower.
Wow. That's a lot of change.
That's almost $9,000 a year.
That's your groceries, right? Like, I mean, your weekly groceries with where we are right now, but still, that's you get a free week of groceries.
Yeah. I mean, these numbers are kind of prevalent.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking of, is it a right decision? When rates come down, rents are going to go up.
As prices are, which I can't say often enough.
So, I mean, you look at this where real estate's not everyone's favorite thing. Some people are real estate people, some people are investment people, and I've seen success in both strategies. I'm a firm believer in go forward with what you're comfortable with, and if you got to live in a house, you might as well invest in it, and it's going to be more. Your payment's going to be more than what you pay now in rent, but you have to decide what's most important to you. What if you're not putting money into investment in stock or 401k or IRA aggressively, you better be buying a house.
I would say both. I would say if your deal is stocks and bonds and investments, wonderful, great. I'd love to chat with you about that too. But if that is what you're doing, you still have to live somewhere. Yeah. And if you're living somewhere, you have a payment going out. And if that payment is not a write-off and it's not going to serve you in less than 30 years, because Ian has another calculator for that. You want to pay your house off in 20 years, 15 years, like there's a calculation. So I just don't understand how that would serve you in any way where this money is just all going out the door that could be giving you a tax write-off. If you're somebody who takes investing seriously in any stretch of the word, that's something you'd want to look at.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about those? Like, I know your payment's going to be higher, Joe. Yeah. What's to Jessica's point, it's a you have to have a strategy,
right?
And you have to really think about where you're going to invest your money. but your payments, let's say your payment for rent's $1,500. Now you're looking at a $3,000 mortgage or a $3,500 mortgage or $4,000 mortgage. But you do make a decent amount of money, but you love your savings, but you're not going to get any equity out of it. What's your take on that, Joe?
Yeah, that's like burning money, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're renting, even if it is more expensive, you're investing in yourself, your family, and your future.
Yeah.
And to your point, the example you just gave us before the break of the compounding equity, I mean, that's what you're investing in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's completely worth it. It's not like you're throwing money away. You're just building the money and putting money to something that's going to grow more.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I feel it. I mean, if you buy a $300,000 house and you can almost assure yourself that in 5 years, you're going to double that value in property.
Right.
Right. Which will double the equity that the equity will just keep on compounding. And this is what we want to talk more on. We're going to come up on a break about Walt's story. Walt's a bartender I knew in Orange County, and he's retired in Costa Rica now in a period of 20 years. Oh, wow. And so you don't want to miss it. We'll be back after this.
Hi, I'm Jessica Couch. When you're buying or selling your next home, work with an experienced team that knows the business, a local team that knows the market, and that has the skill set to take care of every single detail. We will get you top dollar if you're selling, and we'll help negotiate the best deal if you're buying, all without spending $1 out of your own pocket. Work with Pro Mortgage and Realty. At Pro Mortgage and Realty, we cover those out-of-pocket expenses like inspections, appraisal, and help with your closing costs. It's our commitment to make your next real estate transaction easy and stress-free as possible. We're not all about business. At Pro Mortgage and Realty, we've developed deep roots in the community. We've partnered with local nonprofits, and we give back. Come work with the team that's got your back. Call or text today. Jessica Couch of Pro Mortgage and Realty, 916-532-8916. Or visit us at promortgagerealty.com. Work with the pros.
NMLS 351319, DRE 01745667.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Shepard with the Shepard Group. With decades of combined experience, we know what it takes to help make one of the biggest decisions of your lives. Whether it be selling or purchasing a new home, the Shepard Group has the strategies to maximize your profit or negotiate the best deal when putting an offer together and getting it accepted. We're driven by being the difference maker and understand how stressful it can be when making your next real estate move. And we'd like to help you by covering some of those out-of-pocket expenses associated with buying a home, like home inspections and appraisal fees. Giving back not only strengthens our community, but it fills our hearts. That's why we partnered with local nonprofit organizations to do our part. We believe faith without works is dead, and so we ask that you put your faith in the fact that you were right where you were supposed to be when you heard this message, and trust that when you call us, you and your family will be in good hands for all of your real estate needs. Call the Shepard Group today at 916-410-4455 or visit theshepardgrouphomes.com.
The Shepard Group, powered by Pro Mortgage and Realty, NMLS number 351319, DRE number 01745667. And now more with the Real Estate Profits with Purpose on AM 1380, The Answer.
And we're back discussing how to leverage compounding your interest in real estate into retirement. And I want to dig into this piece because I want to share Walt's story with everybody.
I'm so excited.
And Walt is he doesn't even know I'm talking about him, but Walt is a friend of mine from Newport Beach, California. And he was bartending at Woody's on the Wharf. He was a bartender, and I was friends with him. And he bought his first duplex 8 years ago in San Clemente, California. I think it was $500,000.
Okay.
And he bought that duplex, lived in one unit, and rented out the other for 2 years. And then he moved out. And then he bought a place in Costa Mesa for $500,000. And it was kind of a townhome. Mm-hmm. And so then he kept bartending. Kept bartending, and just kept on bartending. Then what he did was, he decided that, this is a good market to sell. So a few years ago, he sold his San Clemente property for a $750,000 net profit.
Oh, that's a good profit.
He rolled the 1031 exchange because he ended up vacating that to buy the other property in Costa Mesa. He rolled the 1031 exchange, bought a house in Temecula, turned that into a successful Airbnb. Then he sold, and within 2 years, he sold that property and made $250,000 profit.
Wow.
And then, so now he's made $1 million, right? And then he rolled that equity profit, and this is all over like a 3-year period after he sold his duplex. He rolled that over, bought one house cash in Florida, bought another house and financed $350,000 in the Keys in Florida. Okay, that he turned into a successful Airbnb. After that, he bought a house and paid for it cash in Costa Rica and remodeled it.
Wow.
And had a view of the ocean, big old pool, 5 bedrooms.
Wow.
And turned that thing into an Airbnb. Then what he did was, with his property in Costa Mesa, he ended up selling that, and then using that cash, he renovated a couple flips, and he's retired in Costa Rica bartending. And
I
selling
love
a
this
couple
story.
houses. And so, he
love it.
leveraged short-term gains. He leveraged long-term gains on his property in the equity compounding. You walk away with $750,000 on a $500,000 purchase in 7 to 8 years. And then he rolled that investment into another investment. You could play this 2 ways. And the point I'm getting at, you don't have to be a landlord if you don't want to. You could either sit and hold, wait 10 years, turn around, sell it, retire, or you can just hold on to this and pay this thing off. But a lot of people leverage their equity and compound and utilize the compound equity to make multiple investments after that fact. So what's your take on that, Jessica?
Oh, I'm hearing 2 things that I think speak to all of us out there. One, this guy's a bartender. He is not working Wall Street. He's a bartender. Second, he got in with FHA and 3.5% down.
Yep.
So I think for anybody listening, this is your time right now. We are at the bottom. We've been screaming about it for quite a while. We're at the bottom. It's a great time to get a property, great time to get concessions from the seller, cover all your closing costs, cover a buy down, and get in and be like Walt. Like, I want to be just like Walt. That's an amazing story.
There's so many opportunities. There's down payment assistance. There's what Jessica's talking about is that buy down. It's a temporary buy down, right? And,
correct.
And it lowers your interest rate by 2% the first year, 1% the second, or 1% the first year. There's multiple buy downs. And
I like the 2-1. That's what I usually do.
2-1's her favorite because she's able to get that from the seller. The seller pays for a buy down. Would not advise paying for a long-term buy down in this market right now.
No.
But, I mean, there's so many opportunities for everybody out there. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I just met with Lennar Homes yesterday.
Okay.
And when I spoke with her last week when we were putting together this meeting, she asked me, how I was doing in the market. And I said, oh, we're utilizing the 2-1 buy down a lot, and we're getting people into homes. And she was like, what? What is that?
What?
And so I explained it, and then I explained the 1-1.
What?
Right?
You've been under a rock, Lennar?
Right. And a 3-2-1, I explained all those. And she's like, wow, that's amazing. Yesterday in our meeting, she says, yeah, we had our sales meeting the next day. She goes, what do you think the topic was?
I hope it was a temporary buy down.
Yeah. So now their builders are starting to do buy downs to get people into homes.
I think it's unequivocally what is needed right now, and it's going to continue to be what is needed until rates come down to a 4%. Until then, we have to use this.
Yeah.
It's a great product. It's a great tool.
Yeah.
I mean, the payment difference is like $750 a month on a $750 house. A $50,000 house. Sorry,
that's real money.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of
for
money.
a year.
For a year.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you go down, maybe about $200 less than that in savings. But I mean, it's the way to go right now, and rates are dropping.
Right, and that's the
June
point,
or
like
July.
you said, right? It's like you're giving yourself a nice little bridge to lower rates.
Yeah.
And allowing yourself to get into the equity game early, because as soon as that changes, like Jessica said, as soon as that thing hits, man, it's going to be crazy. Equity's going to go through the roof.
Yeah, these numbers are geared to that. And if you're not thinking, some people are sitting on a lot of equity and they don't want to buy a new house because rates are too high and they're paying a higher tax rate. Well, maybe think about cash out refinance, leverage that equity into purchasing multiple properties because you're going to see an additional gain. You don't have to get rid of you're going to gain more with 3 properties than 1.
Absolutely.
So it's the biggest play. You can do a home equity line of credit to tap into that equity. And that is, there's safer home equity lines of credit. You could do a cash out refinance if you want to pull a lower interest rate on that equity. It's completely up to you. But if you want to own more real estate, but you're like, oh, I don't want to sell my house, or oh, I don't want to refinance, there are options. And go on to ProMortgageRealty.com for those options. You can ask for Joe, ask for Ian, talk to Jessica about what you think your property is worth. Jessica Couch has been an agent for 25 plus years. And how do they get a hold of you, Jessica?
916-532-8916.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if it's not her, ask a professional. Don't ask your neighbor. Don't ask the checkout guy at Safeway.
Well, maybe he knows what he's talking about.
The guy at the gym who's spotting you or whatever,
Does he live in the neighborhood? Does he own a home? I don't know. Maybe he knows what he's talking about.
Well, there's down payment assistance.
I love that program.
We can go down a 580 FICO score. If you have a pulse and somewhat of a FICO, we could probably get you in a home within 3 or 4 months. Yeah. And the biggest misconception is, oh, I don't have a 2-year job history, or my credit is jacked up. Well, you don't need a 2-year job history. You need schooling. If you can provide transcripts from your previous education that's associated to your current job, we can use that. If you just have a 2-year job history and you're in a different line of work, we can still use that. There's many ways that we can help you qualify and talk to a professional about. You can also use a non-occupying co-borrower. Right? That's a huge play.
So many plays. It's all strategy. But I think the bottom line is somebody needs to call and talk to you guys and go, here's my situation. You're like, oh, got it. Here's going to be your best move. And this is how we can make this payment work. But I think what I love about Pro is it's not a one size fits all. Yeah. It's an individual, like, let's take a look at your situation, your family's goals for 3 to 5 years and figure out best play. And that's strategy for you and your family. It's not a one size fits all, which is this big box approach of like, oh, just come in and we'll give you this loan. I want to make sure that our clients have lots and lots of options, and you guys always give lots and lots of options depending on what their goals are.
Yeah, we have bank statement loans, DSCR, which has been a hot ticket.
Yeah.
Home equity lines of credit. We've got no ratio stated owner occupied. We've got private money when you really need to close a deal fast. We've got some pretty inexpensive private money transactions, bridge loans. We can help renovate your home and you pay at closing. There's a lot of strategies and tools that we have at Pro, and we built it over time. But there's so many things you can do. Our VA loan programs, our rates are smoking. They'll pretty much beat most people that we go against. And so if you do have a loan estimate in front of you, or you're in the middle of the process, I think it would be a good opportunity to reach out to a company like us or somebody else, get a second opinion on it. And you can log on to ProMortgageRealty.com. How do they get a hold of you, Joe? If you have a loan estimate on your desk right now and you're about to sign docs, or you're thinking about buying a house, how do they get a hold of you?
916-849-8925.
849-8125?
8925.
Oh, 8. Okay, say that again.
916-849-8925.
Okay.
And for somebody who's confused by these numbers, which I run into all the time, they don't know, like, is this a junk fee? Is this a legitimate fee? Is this what I should be paying? Is this going? Can they just call you and get a second free estimate so that they know what's really going on?
Yeah, second look. We'll analyze whatever they're going against and make a good decision for them. And the thing is, we're not here to steal the business either. We're here to consult with them and make sure they're
getting the best deal.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. I like that stuff. Free and clear. Do we leverage our assets? And some people like to have their house paid off, right? Like the Dave Ramsey piece, but that's also people that live in Indiana.
It is a little bit harder in California, yeah.
But California, it's a rough play unless you got into real estate 15 years ago or 10 years ago. It's kind of a daunting fact that how are you going to pay off $750,000, right? And so the big question to ask yourself is what is your plan? Do you want to be a landlord? Do you want multiple properties? Do you want to buy more property? How do you want to leverage your equity? And how do you want to take the compounding equity that you've had? And do you want to raise that? So if you buy a multi-unit, a 2-unit or a 3-unit or a 4-unit, what's next? Do you want to sell that, roll that 1031 exchange into a 12-unit or a 14-unit? And now you're cash flowing heavier because you put more down right? And these are questions that we got to help answer. And so if you have a question during the or after the show, you can text to 916-872-7177. Coming up, we're going to be talking about the Dream for All program, the Shared Appreciation program. There's some important news that you don't want to miss. We'll be back after this.
Sweet Dreams Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit whose mission is to glorify God by spreading peace, hope, and love to families with medically fragile babies and children. They offer dream bedrooms to children battling life-threatening illnesses, and their Ruse Baby program creates an atmosphere that will lift the spirit of the child, where they can laugh, play, and let their inner light shine. To learn more about the Sweet Dreams Foundation, visit sweet-dreams.org. When you work with Pro Mortgage and Realty, you're supporting the Sweet Dreams Foundation. Partner with Pro Mortgage and Realty today to buy or sell a home and help support the Sweet Dreams Foundation to help more children in our communities. Call or text Jessica Couch of Pro Mortgage and Realty today at 916-532-8916. That's 916-532-8916, or visit promortgagerealty.com. Work with the pros. Pro Mortgage and Realty. NMLS number 351319.
At Pro Mortgage and Realty, we've streamlined the home buying process, providing you the fast mortgage pre-approval and top-performing real estate agents that will negotiate the best price for you, all under one roof. If you call or text to 916-872-7177, that's 916-872-7177, we'll help with those out-of-pocket expenses like home inspection, appraisal, and closing costs. We make it easy. From down payment assistance programs, no income qualifying loans to conventional FHA and VA loans, we have you covered. We'll help you find the right financing program and the right home. Be sure to ask about our temporary buy-down program that's negotiated towards your interest rate and can end up saving you thousands. Work with a team that's with you every step of the way. Work with the pros, Pro Mortgage and Realty. Call 916-872-7177 or visit promortgagerealty.com.
NMLS number 351319, DRE number 017456667. And now more with the Real Estate Profits with Purpose on AM 1380, The Answer.
All right, if you're just tuning in, we've been talking about the compounding equity and how to leverage the equity into real estate into retirement. And the main reason that we're talking about this is people don't know what to do with their equity. And
very true.
They don't understand how much money they'll be sitting on in 10 years, 5 years, or 3 years. And we can go through a calculation of how to leverage that equity into buying additional assets and have a tax shelter and have retirement other than
Ooh, these are my favorite topics. These are my
and
favorite
pension.
topics, yeah.
So if you want to hear more about the show that we've listened to, we'll send you a copy of the show. You can go on to promortgagerealty.com or text SHOW to 916-872-7177 for more insight. We've been talking about that and the Dream for All program and the appreciation program. This is new. This is different than the last one.
I'm excited to hear about it.
I know. I edge on the edge of the seats. And the biggest change to this program is that you must be a first-generation buyer.
First generation? What is it? Can you break that down?
I
Make
can
sure that I
break
can,
that down, okay?
First generation.
Okay. All buyers on the application have to be a first-time home buyer.
So not the 3-year rule like FHA. First time ever, period.
This
End of
one's
story.
7 years.
Okay, 7 years. Okay.
7 years. Okay. And you cannot have owned, like your family, your parents cannot be a homeowner.
What?
Okay. You cannot be a beneficiary of a trust. If your parents, like, this is kind of catered towards, and I'm okay with this, it's kind of catered towards the immigrants that came over and foster kids that don't have parents.
Wow.
It's kind of directed towards the people that don't have generational wealth in their family.
Wow.
Which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so it's, if those don't understand what the Dream for All program, this program came out in a New York second. It was released and it fulfilled within 7 days last time. And now they're breaking it out, but there is a lottery associated to it. You've got to pass your home buying counseling. You got to take a couple courses, but anyone on the application, if your parents own a home, you can't be on the application.
Okay, so what are all of our people that are waiting for this program, if they don't quantify for this, what are they going to do?
They can do down payment assistance, but
Okay.
it's not 20% like this program. This program will give you 20%. Those people can do a different type of program. There are down payment assistance programs. There's 3 or 4 of them that we use, depending, and you can make a strong amount of income, and you cannot have owned a home within 3 years on those programs.
Okay.
So there are programs out there, but for those, I'm taking some air out of your sails here because there's must be a first generation home buyer.
Wow, well, I know what I'm looking for. And when do we have a date yet when this lottery begins?
It's supposed to be in April.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
coming up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just the news, and it's pretty prevalent. I did not know that until I read it. And
Is it open to ITNs?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, because it's FHA. You know, you cannot have a 1 or a 9 in the beginning of your Social Security number.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the trick. If they have a 1 or a 9, if your Social Security number begins with a 1 or a 9, it's a no.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've got some clients I need to reach. Clients tried to help before that were in a situation that would benefit from something like this. So I need to give them a jingle.
All right. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that I know that would benefit that were waiting
Yeah.
on the sidelines for this, and this is a
Right.
big deal breaker here.
Yeah.
That's really exciting.
It
That's
is
very exciting news. And again, if this is something that you don't qualify for, right? You've owned a home, your parents own a home.
Yeah.
Even if you've never owned a home and your parents own a home, you're not getting this program.
Yep.
So your options again would be down payment assistance.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You could use USDA.
You can do
That's 0 out of
USDA
pocket
100%.
also. Uh-huh.
Yeah, look at Jessica should just do loans. I
I-
swear,
I-
VA
no,
loans.
I like
VA
to-
loans is 100% financing.
True,
We have
yeah.
FHA. We have multiple factors. 3 types of loans that have 100% financing.
Right.
So there are options out there. Log on to promortgagerealty.com. We will help you out. Just ask for Joe, and we can take your home ownership to the next level. I know. This is our last segment here. You have some listings coming up, Jessica.
Oh, I
that
do.
wanna-
Thank you for reminding me. I have a great property on a court, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, upgraded kitchen, upgraded bathrooms, and a fantastic pool and a big pergola. We're going on the market at $500,000. We are prepared to do a 2% concession, as all of my sellers understand, to buy down that rate for you. So we'll be on the market next week. 916-532-8916. All of our friends and family and favorite people get an inside scoop on that, so they can come and see it first.
Yeah, that's with a pool.
With it's a fantastic backyard. It's in a court, great back. It's in Sacramento, great backyard, great. Yeah, we're not even on the market yet. So for these people that think there's no inventory, which by the way is not true. I don't know who is spreading this. This is like the telephone. Like what? Joe has he wears muscle shirts. Like, where did that even come from? This guy shows up in a button up and a tie.
Yeah.
But this is like the game of telephone. I keep hearing there's no inventory. I'm like, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. There was like over 2,000 new listings and almost 900 price reductions.
Yeah.
There is so much freaking
And
inventory.
this little window of inventory
Yes.
is going to go away
in a
It's-
moment.
Yeah, it's going to. The second the Fed lowers
Uh-huh.
those rates, you talk about that inventory number. We're
Yeah.
still lower than pre-COVID. We're lower than COVID numbers, right? Pre-COVID,
Right.
and it's still high comparatively speaking. But those houses that are available, they're not the amazing turnkey stuff, but rates are high.
Yeah.
And so if you buy now, refi later, it's marry the house, date the rate, get in now, get that equity. Get that equity. Equity's key. It's the formulation for long-term wealth. If you're short-term thinking and you're thinking, hey, I'm going to turn around and sell this house in 2 years and make a bunch of money, you're not going to make much money because you got to pay out
Right.
real estate commissions. You got to do all this. But if you're in there for the 3, the 5, the 7, the 10-year plays like those numbers that we had, you're going to be well established later on. So-
And if you're somebody that's thinking, I want to come, look at a home that's not been on the market yet, don't call me until you've called Joe and you get a pre-approval because we are not in the market of showing properties to people that don't yet have a pre-approval unless you have cash to buy, which is few and far between in my world. So how do they get a hold of you, Joe, so they can get a pre-approval?
They can reach me at 916-849-8925.
Pre-approval is key.
Yes.
People like looking at the house and talking about the house, but not the loan. Right?
You can come by for some
We're
coffee,
boring.
stop
We're
by.
Boring.
To have a look at the pool, maybe dip your toes in, but you can't make an offer unless you have a pre-approval. So it is definitely, putting the cart before the horse.
No,
you need to have this ready.
Speaking about that, I'm going to complain.
Yeah.
So I had Jay
Uh-huh.
had a client that was looking to buy a house, and they had a pre-approval for $330,000. Okay. And they wanted to qualify for more.
Sure.
So they had a pre-approval for $330,000. Jay said, Ian, can you take a look at this? So I go look. I do a soft pull on the credit. A soft pull means it doesn't make any impact on your credit score. That's how we like to do things here. And so we do the soft pull. I get their income, and they were on a visa. They came over from they defected from Russia, so they're in the process of getting their citizenship. But they do have the Social Security number. They do work. So she's only been in her job for 2 months, and was working for 1 month last year.
Wow.
He has been in his job for 22 months. Not 24, not 2 years, 22 months, but had bonus and overtime. Okay, we got a verification of employment. I saw that everything was increasing, but Fannie Mae allows you to review these guidelines and say, okay, well, Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, I can't remember, but one of them said that based on positive circumstances. So we looked at. I had a underwriter look at the file. It came back saying we can use the overtime, we can use the bonus, and we can use his income with no prior work history than 22 months.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, right, great. So I run the numbers. I have his income at $4,400, and guess how much they qualify for?
$285.
Lower.
Oh. So we're looking for a townhome?
$250 on a single family, $220 to $210 on a condo because of the homeowners association dues, and this was from $330,000. So an agent would have been flying around looking at property with these clients. They would have gotten in contract. They would have put their earnest money deposit into escrow. They've got emotionally attached to this property. They would have spent money on an appraisal. They would have spent money on an inspection, which, by the way, everything together costs about $700 to $1,000, which I know Jessica does cover up front.
I do, but Jessica also makes sure that I know what your debt to income ratio is,
and you know that they're really pre-approved, right? And
true.
so the main thing I'm getting at is that don't just get one lender to say you're pre-approved, because had we have gone through all this stuff, I mean, talk about a show that you don't want to be a part of.
However, conversely, we helped a client this last year. He had a pre-approval and was using down payment assistance for only $200,000 or $225,000. It wasn't enough to get a property. I knew his mom. I had helped them years ago. She called me and said, "Hey, can you help?" You jumped on. Ended up getting him qualified for $300,000.
Yeah.
And we were able to use down payment assistance and get him into a home.
Bam.
We got him a 3-1 in Marysville, an adorable house in a great area close to work for $300,000.
Yeah.
But we couldn't find anything at $225,000. So don't take one opinion. Make sure that if it doesn't seem right, or you're not sure if I came buy a house for this, get a second opinion, because it's worthy of looking in the market that we're in right now.
Yeah, and they are. Guess what? They do qualify for the Dream for All program now.
Of course. So that's amazing. So maybe they can get a house.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so we're going to enter in the lottery with them because they defected from Russia. So, they're first generation. And I'm like, there we go. That's our ticket.
Oh, that's really exciting.
So they only need to qualify for 80% of that. Of that purchase price.
That's going to bump them.
So that could give us some leadway. So I just wanted to share that success story. That nightmare turned into success.
That's what we do around here, turning nightmares into success.
Sweet Dreams Foundation. Again, if you're listening and you want to do business with us, we really appreciate that. But we also appreciate giving back to the community. 10% of our profit goes to the Sweet Dreams Foundation. We've just got a couple 1 minute left here, but Jessica, real quick, can you tell us about Sweet Dreams? We do dream bedrooms for children battling life-threatening illness. It's a great program. I was with them since 2014, so long before I had a child and in and out of the hospital all the time. I was part of the organization. They do great work. We have a hoedown coming up in a couple of months, so if you're a business owner, we're really a hoedown. We're going to have some barbecue and it'll be a good time. So we're looking for sponsors for that. If you're a business owner, a member of the community that wants to come and support, have some barbecue, or get a table, I'd love to hear from you. 916-532-8916. 532-8916. And if you just tuned in a little late, you can find our show on promortgagerealty.com or text with any questions after at 916-872-7177. We'll see you next week.